Here today with my good friend Kimberly Mathews. Now, it's unusual for me to call you Kimberly because we affectionately know you as Kimmy. But
Yep.
Kimmy has been Kimmy. I don't know if you've watched any of these before, but I usually start these by how we met. You and I met in the summer of 2017, and I've told this story before, but just for the sake of our audience here, I remember you coming in. I got a phone call actually from your mom originally, saying that she thought you would be interested in joining our social group. And so then you came in, and I can remember you being a little timid, a little quiet. But after you got used to everything, you kind of spoke up. And in the almost 4, well, I guess it's been 4 years now that we've known each other, you have turned into a really great self-advocate, and I'm glad to have you on here because you every day teach me something new, and for that I appreciate that. So enough about me. What do you remember about maybe that first meeting or first coming in?
What do I remember about the first meeting? Let's see. I remember walking in and thinking, what the crap did I get myself into? And you walked up to me, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this guy. But at the same time, I was like, I'll give this place a chance. Because before that, I've been like, I have gone to different places and that sort of stuff, and they didn't treat me very well. Like, they treat me like the stereotype. You know what I mean? Like the whole, you're disabled, oh no. But it's like they didn't go past that label. They didn't look at me. They only saw that label. But when I came here, I finally found a place where people were like, oh wait, you're an actual human being.
So before we go any further, maybe we should tell them you're on the spectrum. So for those that don't know you, you're on the autism spectrum. Tell me a little bit about that diagnosis, because I think that's interesting for people to find out that you were diagnosed late in life.
Oh, that's actually not too uncommon for girls because they can mimic things. But when I found out that there was a name to something, I knew for a very long time in my life that something was different about me. But for a long time, everyone was like, it must be the ADHD. But I was like, no, there's more to it than just ADHD. I realized it back when I was in kindergarten because because of my thought process. And the older I got, the more of that particular thought process became dominant and stuff.
So ADHD, autism, also dyslexia, right?
Yeah.
How hard did that make school? I mean, school had to be pretty difficult for you.
Oh, I'm not really sure how to tell you. It was difficult. There were some days where I was just like, I really don't want to get out of bed, but then there was a lot of good that the school did. I had a lot of wonderful teachers who took their time. And that's what's up. And also too, I made myself some little tricks and that sort of thing. Like if I got stuck on a book phrase, like a page in a book, I would copy and paste that into Google Translate. Now it has a computer read to me.
Pretty smart. So over the years, we've worked on you becoming a self-advocate, and working on maybe advocating for yourself and for others. Tell me about that journey. Tell me a little bit about, because you seem to like that. Tell me what you like about that. What seems to, I don't know, what seems to push you.
What pushed me was the horrors of what happens to a person when they don't have when they're not allowed to speak for themselves, and how they are used as lesser than a human. Like, for example, you know what happened back in the whole experimental stuff back in like the asylums and all the other stuff. People just dropped off people who were not were not, you know, normal and that sort of stuff. They would just drop them off at places, or they would just remove the front of their brains and that sort of stuff, sometimes without even these people's consent. And when I read about this, I'm just like, that may not happen a lot today, but there's still a lot that needs to be improved. And plus, I don't want someone speaking for me. If I want something, I know what I want. And that's a simple part of it. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and you know how to ask for it too. And if you think about it, that wasn't that long ago. We're talking 40, 50 years ago that some of this was happening, or even less than that. So that's pretty great.
What's crazy is some people still think that lobotomizing should be a thing. I mean, like that blew my mind. People actually thought that worked.
Yeah. So tell me your story. Tell me a little bit about who you are. Tell people that don't know. I know you because here's what people may not know. She works here at the Pervasive Parenting Center. And I always tell this story, but I'm going to tell it just because I need to put it on this so people will know. When Kimmy came in that first summer, I don't know that you missed a single meeting. If you did, I don't remember it, but I think you were there pretty regularly that entire summer. And then when the summer was over, because we do a social group, for those of you who don't know, to help with transitioning from high school out into the world, working on social skills, job skills, things like that. And then after that first summer was over, Kimmy came to me and she said,
I
now,
want a job.
yeah, yeah. She basically said, "Hey, now what do I do?" And I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And she said, "I want a job." Right? And I said, "Well, what do you want to do? We can try to find you a job." And she said, "No, I want to work here." And I explained to her that I didn't have any money, and you said, "I don't care," right? You just wanted to volunteer and help. And so Kimmy has worked here for almost 4 years now. And I think you're starting your fourth year. And she's been amazing. She does a little bit of everything around here. We promoted her a year or two ago, I can't remember, to office manager, because that's what she does. She makes sure that we run and makes sure that she keeps Terry and I in line, because we get caught up. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, but tell me a little bit about, what's it like growing up with autism? I mean, what do you remember as some of the struggles, or what do you think are some of the positives?
Oh, I remember the positives was I was able to pick up on so many details that I think a lot of people wouldn't have, like like I remember with one in this one book, it was, you know, in reading class, and there was this murder mystery novel, and I kept noticing a pattern in how the author was writing, where they were kind of like hinting towards certain things happening, and I would keep track of that in notes. And basically, before before my teacher had figured out, I figured out who was the killer and that sort of stuff. And also too, But also, sorry, this is also one of the things about, being autistic. Your brain like needs time to render the words. Being Having autism being a part of you is not a bad thing. It's just a different way of processing the stimuli in your environment. That's all it is. Like as an example, the one time I hate during the day during school was the bell because of the lockers. I would have to walk down through the hallway, knowing the fact that I would have to listen to bang, 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 bang as I was going along. Oh boy, and let me tell you something. It seems like every year I got a locker banger, which is someone who, for some apparent reason, I don't know why, but they love to slam the door extra hard, where it rattles.
And those are
That's what I remember most of school.
Yeah, those are the little things that we don't think about, as neurotypicals. We don't think about those things. We just go about our business, and you're very
also
creative.
too, oh my gosh, not to be mean towards people who wear a lot of perfume, but there'd be some girls or guys where they would wear their perfume so bad that I would literally get a headache, from it, because, or I would just be like kind of freeze up a little bit because it would make me sensitized to the smell. And also too, I remember the lights in the classroom. I had to get used to those. There's no way of escaping the overhead lights.
Yeah. You have some sensitivity issues to some sensory issues, you would say. You're very creative. You're always doing something, art, creating something. Has that always been?
Yes, I had to be creative in order to get through school. That's what I've always think of. When you hit a wall, you gotta figure out, how can I make a shovel to go under the wall? Can I make a rope and a hook to go throw it over the wall? Can I make a cab? What can I use to make a catapult to throw myself over the wall? Or can I somehow use the wall's own weight to topple it down? You gotta be creative on that.
Yeah. We heard some of your dogs in the background. You want to tell everybody that you are an animal lover, not just a dog lover. Trust me on this one, guys.
Oh yeah, I love a lot of animals, especially jellyfish, because even though they're brainless and all that stuff, they're still an amazing thing. Like jellyfish are like my top animals.
You have you have a thing for like sea life, right? Marine life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always watching documentaries and things, and I can bring up certain things, like the deadliest. We had this discussion one time, the deadliest jellyfish, and I thought it was the man of war, and it is not, right?
Mm-mm. There's still debate on whether if a man of war is even considered a jellyfish or not. I'm on the side where it's not, because in my mind, or for it to be a jellyfish, it should be like underwater. Because
so the answer, right, is the box jellyfish.
the box jellyfish, the small, nature's like this. The bigger something is, it's meh, but it seems like the smaller it makes it, that's when you need to start worrying. It's like it seems that it takes all that deadliness and compacts it.
So we've taken your passion for self-advocacy, and we've tried to turn that up a little bit. Last year, you and one of our other social group members, Darby, got to go to Oklahoma City and speak with the state, I believe it was the state mental health board. I can't remember. Want to tell a little bit about that? Say that again. I'm sorry.
Those are amazing people. I don't think they realize just how them trying to work and actually doing stuff actually impacts little bits at a time.
Tell me about that experience then. You actually had to go speak in front of a bunch of people that you didn't know in Oklahoma City. You did extremely well. Tell me what that was like.
Well, first off, I was extremely terrified, but excited. And one of the few things I remember doing that I did not mean for this to happen was, as I was telling my story, I basically thanked the people who were working, who basically are help working and fighting for the people who, they don't have that capability to voice for themselves and that sort of stuff, and fighting for their right to be treated human. I basically thanked them for that, and I ended up causing this lady to cry. And I thought at first, I was like, oh no, what the crap did I say wrong? But it turned out those were happy tears. So I was okay after that.
Yeah, I think you did an amazing job. And basically, do you remember what you told them? Like what was the main idea behind your story to them?
I really can't remember.
I just remember you telling them, yes, that you talked about the struggles of being someone with a disability and then mental health and how we have to be a voice for people. Basically what you just said, we have to be a voice for people that
All
don't.
right, I said I was thankful. I remember what I said. I'm thankful that we are being seen after all these years. I am thankful that we, as a whole group, are being seen by people, and not as less of this. We're finally being seen as people and that sort of stuff, and that's what I thank them all for.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point there because I don't know why people don't see other people with disabilities in the same light that we do, and by that I mean me. And I'll be honest, it's me now. I couldn't tell you before Connor came about what my idea of people with disabilities was, but I think it takes something life-changing like that to make you think that way. But man, here's again, I learned something. You guys, all the social group people, the people with disabilities, I learn something new from you guys every day. And you guys think you're coming in either to learn with me or just to hang out. But even when you guys are just hanging out and you're just, talking to each other, I learn, and I learn constantly. Because you guys are amazing. I have books full of notes from social group that I just take of quotes that you guys have given over the years, and it's pretty amazing. So, what would you like to see if you could see something change in the world of disabilities or autism? What would you like people to change right now?
We're doing really good here in America, but one of the few things that I would like to see is some of some of the mental health issues, like over in Japan and all that other stuff, start being helped out a little bit more, like through something like that. But here in America, what I would like to see is for people to just please stop the labeling. All because someone has autism doesn't automatically make them dumb, stupid. People, I mean, we're taught this in kindergarten. Treat people how you want to be treated. I mean, it's simple, just treat them like people and that sort of stuff. Now, that doesn't mean you can't help them if they're struggling. That's okay, but just don't dumb them down.
I think you are an interesting, and I hate to say this because that's not the way I mean it, but I think your struggles are interesting in what you just said, because I know, and anybody that's been around you for very long knows that you are extremely, extremely smart. But I think if you take the social aspect of, or lack of socialization from the autism, and then you take the struggles with dyslexia, because that makes it more difficult for you to read and write, and you put those together, and then you throw in the ADHD, which means, man, I can't pay attention to anything for very long. Somebody might get the wrong impression with you that maybe you're not that intelligent if they don't know you. But have you struggled with that?
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll be like when I was littler, I'd be hurt a lot, but then I came to my mind, like, you know what? You can think of me of what you want, but at the end of the day, I know who I am. My family knows who I am. God knows who I am, and that's all that is needed. I don't need your approval in order to have a happy life.
Yeah, I agree. And again, the more I get to know you, the more I know that your intelligence is, first of all, your intelligence just is amazing, but also you're wise beyond your years. I think of you, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, because this is not at all an insult. You're an old soul.
Oh, I love that saying. That's what my teachers would always say to me. Like when I was on the playground and that sort of stuff, when like the swings were not open or anything like that, I would rather go and talk to the teachers than to go and, gossip about boys and that sort of stuff. Like, boys are okay, but I would prefer a guy who was, well, I really don't like, the whole idea of dating, but still, I just would rather hang out with someone who I felt more mature with than immature stuff. Like I never understood, like, oh, let's go hide so and so's lunchbox. Hee hee hee. That just made me frustrated. Like I'm just, I don't understand y'all. What's the crap? Why are you eating dirt?
But I think, yeah, and I think that goes back to what we were discussing, is that you're mature beyond your years. You would rather have a conversation with somebody. You'd rather, yeah, a stimulating conversation with anybody. And I find that interesting with you. You and I can have some interesting conversations. You and it's so cliche to say you think outside of the box, but you truly do. You take what most people think and you go way beyond that. And
sometimes that's pain.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Sometimes that can be a pain.
Well, but we need people
but
like, yeah, we need people like that though. I usually talk about who are your mentors. Do you have mentors? Like who are people that have helped you along the way?
My mom, dad, God. Basically, I learned from watching people. I know that's not creepy, but I learned from watching people. But also too, I learned from Martin Luther King Jr. And a few other different historical figures. A lot of people are like, well, who is the main person that you looked up to, in historic things? I just always thought that was stupid to look at one point in history when it's kind of stagnated. You need to be looking at multiple points of view to get the whole story.
Yeah, that's good advice. Um, you, your mom. You mentioned your mom. Um, Melissa is an amazing person, and I hope she's watching this. I know she will at some point because she really supports us and supports you. Um, and for that, let me say, Melissa, if you're watching this, and I know you will be, thank you for bringing Kimmy to us. She's been amazing. But can you tell me what she's been in your life?
She's been the rock. She's been the rock where I've been learning a lot in my things. My mom had a rough childhood, but she didn't let that make her a bad person or anything. She chose to be good. She chose the high road. She chose to be a positive person. She chose to be empathetic, and also too, she chose to be compassionate towards others who are not in good places. She basically chose to be a strong woman. I always wanted to be like her when I was a little girl, because in my eyes, my mom was like the example of what a good wife, a good mother, a good person should be. Because she was a good human being. That's what it boiled down to was.
What irritates you the most about people, as far as, we kind of discussed this a little bit, but maybe there's something else that you want to mention. What irritates you the most about people and how they view people with disabilities?
They see us as a joke because they're puns. Sometimes I see TikToks where they'll play the whole, when they make fun of people stimming, like, like the whole hand flapping thing and all this other stuff. And I'm like, are you serious? You're a grown adult and you're making fun of this person who has no control over the brain activity that they have. For crying out loud, grow up and stop doing it for cloud, you selfish punk. I mean, for crying out loud, we're not tools for your entertainment. We were put here to live just like any other people. Simple as that.
Yeah. We discussed this one time. I think this is interesting for people to know. If you would, describe to me what it's like for you when you have a meltdown. And maybe tell me when was the last time you had a meltdown?
I think a full-on meltdown would be like when my cousin passed away.
Okay.
Because I never been around, I never been to an actual funeral. I never been there. I never seen a body and that sort of stuff. And I still today sometimes struggle with the idea of death in a way. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but I know she's gone, but at the same time, it's like they're not. What was the original question? Sorry, I was just kind of like.
That's okay. I asked when the last time you had a meltdown was, and maybe if you could explain what a meltdown is like for you, because I know it's a little different for each person, but for you, what that entails.
I feel my body start to get really hot, and I start feeling really scared and angry, and I start calling it blacking out, because at this point my adrenaline is flowing through my body. Because what a meltdown really is the body's response system to stress, that sort of stuff. when I get stressed out like that, of course, the whole meltdown's gotten better. But when I go into a meltdown, it's like I lock up. My body may be able to move, but it's like I'm stuck inside. And then afterwards, I am so drained, so tired that it felt like I had ran marathons over and over again, because that's an after effect of having so much of that adrenaline dumped into your system, because your body's like, oh crap, something's just not right, that sort of stuff. And as you can tell, I'm a very analytical person, so that's why I'm going back to scientific thought. Sorry
No,
about that.
that's fine. So what have you learned over the years how to cope with and head off meltdowns before they start?
Well, it started off with me and my mom basically cutting off. You know, we would basically cut, stop at the, we would find the problem before it would boom. That sort of stuff. I learned not to allow it to let it explode. I started to vocalize. I started to speak more. I started to say, hey, I am feeling uncomfortable about this, Mom. I am not feeling 100%, something's just not right. Like, even if I didn't know what it was, I would go to someone and think, hey, I don't feel okay. I need someone to talk to. And it seemed like the more I was able to talk to someone, the more I could start like this. And also, too, mini dosing myself to a situation and that sort of stuff, like, like loud, like certain loud noises, like, like that, basically desensitizing. It doesn't work with everyone, but some people it does. That's something that that if anyone's going to try this is something that you, your doctor, and you and your counselor or whatever probably need to talk about before trying.
But that works for you, and it may not work for everybody else, but it works for you. I like that too. You are very vocal. You'll tell me when you're having issues or you're having a bad day, or you're really good at coming to me and saying, okay, here's what I think about this. Some people that can come off a little abrasive too. We've learned over the years that you don't always mean things exactly the way you say them, but you'll say things. You're pretty blunt to the point, but you don't.
Let's be honest. I'm pretty dry and blunt.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. There's a little moisture. There's a little river running in there, but it's just enough to keep everything green.
Yeah. But I think that's refreshing. I think that's nice that you're not afraid to vocalize your issue. Your mom will call me some mornings and say, hey, Kimmy's just not having a good morning. She's probably not going to be in today. And we know that you're not going to have the perfect day every day. You're not going to be bright and cheery, and that's okay. So what kind of advice do you have? Let's start with, what kind of advice do you have for people on the spectrum that maybe as far as being an advocate, what would you say to them?
First off, I would like to say it's 100% okay to be a work in progress. No human being is perfect. Take your time and learn about yourself, because that's the first step in order to become an advocate. You must understand yourself first before you can help someone else.
What kind of advice do you have to parents raising somebody on a child? Maybe, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to be even more specific. What would you have to parents that are raising a daughter on the spectrum, since that's a little less common than a male?
Well, be more patient. One thing is be a little bit more patient. with them, because it's, from what I remember, processing, especially when you hit teenage years, is because of all the hormones and puberty, what it's doing, makes it a heck of a lot more worse for processing words and that sort of stuff. Like, if you ask them a question, give them a few seconds to think about it for them to respond, or have them write down the answer. That would be a good thing. But
Yeah, that's really good advice, you know. And I never, we do these trainings, and I never even thought about the writing it down. That's a great thing.
because sometimes, like, the words would be like stuck in my throat, but I couldn't get them out because my head was like, it felt like it was full of bumblebees stinging around. And I remember my mom was just looking at me, and of course, you know, from my point of view, she's getting angry. But what in reality was, she was more concerned about me, because here I am upset, and my mom, she wants to fix why I'm upset, and especially goes to my dad. He wants to fix why I'm upset, and then they're upset because they don't understand why I'm upset, and it kind of feeds into the whole cycle. So maybe, like, trying to find another way of, you know, like, having them write down, or maybe having them type it out.
I think it's great advice. Kimmy, that's all I have. Is there anything else you want to let people know?
There's always hope, and you're completely okay with being a work in progress.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to leave it at.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. I truly value our friendship. I miss you. You've been out since the COVID, and I completely understand that, and I honestly feel better about that. But I do miss you being here. We're gonna get you back in as quick as we can.
Oh,
You,
trust me, I want to come back to work. I know a lot of people are like, I have to come back to work, but for me, I want to come back to work.
yeah. Well, we want you.
I,
Yeah, we want you here. So let me just say thank you for that. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being a voice for people with autism, but with all disabilities. You are. I don't know if you know this or not. You are an amazing advocate and an amazing person, and I appreciate you for that.
what it boils down to is just being a good person.
All right.
I'm happy to do that.